Welcome back, everybody. Thank you for watching another video. So what we're going to be doing today is updating the 2021 Best CCW Micro Compact Pistol video and removing the Taurus G3C because really this is a compact pistol. It's larger than these micro compact pistols, and replacing this with the new Taurus GX4. So we got the Sig P365 XL, Smith & Wesson M&P Shield, Springfield Armory Hellcat, and of course the Ruger Max 9, and then the Taurus GX4. 5 pistols enter, only one will leave. Let's see who I think is going to be standing in the ending. Alright, let's begin with the Sig P365 XL. This is the pistol that got me interested in this new category of micro compact pistols. For the purposes of this video, let's pretend that the red dot isn't in there. Let's make them all non-red dots, so it should run between $600 and $650 for the one without the Romeo 0. So overall impressions of the 365 XL, I think they got a ton of things right on this pistol. The slide length, number one, really easy to control with just that little bit extra on the front there. You combine that with this really nice deep beaver tail and an awesome grip angle. It's very easy to control that muzzle rise. The trigger, I think, is oddly enough really good. It's a little bit squishy, but it comes in at right around 4.5 to 5 pounds. But with where it breaks, the break angle, right about 90 degrees, it's an absolutely lovely trigger to shoot. Alright, the first thing I think that for me is a real bummer is that you don't retain your rear sight if you decide to use a red dot. Now, if you do decide to use the Romeo 0, they have carved it out on the back there, but look how low that is. So if you decide to use a different red dot and your dot malfunctions, you don't have a way to line up your shot. You're kind of shooting blind there. And for a pistol that's $650, it should really be on there. And the second thing for me is this magazine release button, and it's not so much the design, because I like the way it looks. It's really flush to the frame. I like that triangle design. But for me, it's more of the location where it's at. So I'm going to flip this over, and you can see here that my middle finger is completely blocking that button, so I can't punch it out. I got to adjust my grip, drop it down to the bottom, and then punch it out. So for me, that magazine release button location is a bummer. And probably the last thing and the most irritating thing about Sig, and it's not just with this firearm, but in general, when they put their name on a magazine, for some reason the price goes up ridiculously high. There's nothing special about this magazine, but they're hard to find, they're really expensive, and its durability is questionable. And for those reasons, I'm going to be getting rid of the Sig P365 XL, and it's such a shame too because the shootability of this pistol is off the charts, but those 3 things are enough for me to get rid of it. Alright, next up we got the Smith & Wesson M&P Shield Plus, and this is another banger of a micro compact pistol. I know some people, when they look at the profile of this gun and they see how thick and stubby this grip is, they go, how can that possibly feel good in your hand? But I promise you, when you turn it sideways, look how wafer thin that is. And for whatever reason, this grip angle combined with the thickness of the grip this way and the thinness this way and the texturing of this grip, it feels so natural in the hand. The shootability of this gun is off the charts. One of the other things I really love about the Shield Plus and with Smith & Wesson in general is the coating that they put on these slides. It is the slickest, darkest black finish you've ever seen on a pistol, and it really does stand out. Trigger-wise, coming in at right around 5 to 5.5 pounds, breaks like glass. I love the location of this magazine release button. I can pump out the magazines with no problem, any grip. Magazines, really affordable, and you can find them just about everywhere. Alright, moving over to the things I don't like about the Shield Plus. Number one, the lack of the front cocking serrations. I mean, they're there, but why not make them from the top to the bottom of the slide? I'm sure there's some kind of engineering reason for that, but it just looks weird up front. Second, no accessory rail. The third thing, very small trigger guard. I would like to see the trigger guard come up a little bit more. The big thing for me is the pricing of this pistol. There's no milling for an optic. They got basic 3-dot sight, and it costs $550. When you look at what the Taurus GX4 is doing for right around $350, the value just isn't here with this basic Smith & Wesson M&P Shield, and for that reason, I'm getting rid of it. Next up, we got the Springfield Armory Hellcat, probably the most well-rounded pistol that's out there. Let's start off with the iron sights. Probably the best set out there right now. You have this U-notch out here that's outlined with this ridiculously awesome front sight. That's a tritium B down there in the front, and that ring around it is a like ridiculously high vis photoluminescent ring. It is so visible in the dark. You're milled out for an optic, and the nice thing about these here is that you have a nice flat ledge, so you can hook it onto ledges if you want to rack the slide with one hand. But the slide here is cut low enough so when the sight sits down in there, even with these low profile sights, you still should be able to co-witness. The Hellcat is ridiculously comfortable in the hand. It's almost as thin and slick as the Sig P365. The grip in your hand, this grip angle is absolutely on point. Combined with this beaver tail and this awesome grip texture, it feels so good in the hand, guys. It's so controllable. Alright, you got a small accessory rail up here in the front, decent sized trigger guard. Now the trigger here is breaking right around, I would say 6 to 6.5 pounds. Pretty crisp, positive reset. The magazine release button for me is in a really nice place. I can pop out that magazine, no problem. And the magazines themselves have a really nice coating on them, very durable. You can find these just about everywhere and are reasonably priced. And really the only downside for me is that it does cost $600, but if you use the GX4 as a base, saying that maybe this is a $350 pistol, you add on the sights, maybe cost $125 to $150 with the milling of this slide, it's going to cost about $600. And what I was saying before is it is the most complete pistol because it actually has the features that total up to $600. So even though this costs $600, I may consider keeping this one. Let's move on to the next pistol. Moving on to the Ruger Max 9. Now the Hellcat and the Max 9 have a lot of features in common. Let's start off with the iron sights again. You have a blacked out U-notch back here with a massive ledge here. So if you want to rack that on your belt or shoe or on the ledge with one hand, you can absolutely get that done. You also have a milling for a red dot. Now, you would think that this combination sight in the front here, there's a fiber optic front with a tritium bead here. And what that's meant to do is, in the daytime, when the sunlight hits this fiber optic rod in here, it's going to just glow in the daytime. And when you're in dark situations, that tritium sight is supposed to travel up that fiber optic rod and glow. But it is not as, nowhere near as bright as the Hellcat. But the fact that it's on there, I appreciate that. You got a decent sized trigger guard here. This magazine release button is very easy to use. And Ruger magazines, again, very high quality, reasonably priced, and you can find these just about everywhere. Now on to some of the things I don't dig about the Ruger Max 9. Number one, of course, no accessory rail here. This trigger, it feels so cheap and so plasticky. It's really creepy. Comes in right around 5.5 pounds, but it definitely is a very spongy, creepy trigger, and the shape of it is rounded like a banana. It's not flat like the other triggers. Don't really like that. Next up for the grip, and this just could be for my hand, but whatever it is, the grip angle or just the lack of how deep it goes into the grip right around the tang area, I just feel like I don't get enough grip on this when I'm shooting it, and it kind of felt like it was sliding around in my hand. It doesn't feel as secure as the Hellcat or the Sig P365 or even the Smith for that matter. Now, of course, the attractive point about the Ruger Max 9 is it's about $450, and you get all of these great features. I would keep this, but the problem is that I don't feel like I get a good grip on this pistol. And even if it's $450 with great iron sights and the ability to put a red dot on there, I just feel like I can't control this. In a high stress situation, I feel like it would slip out of my hand. And for that reason, I'm going to get rid of the Max 9. And lastly, let's check out the Taurus GX4. And of course, the most impressive thing about this pistol is the pricing. For $350, you get a micro compact pistol with an awesome trigger, big trigger guard. For me, the magazine button release works excellent. These magazines, you know, they're not the highest of quality, but they're cheap. You can find them everywhere, and they're going to be very durable, easy to replace. The grip is comfortable. You have a nice palm swell back here. It's also a replaceable back strap. And because of this back strap area, how big it is, it really feels great in the hand. And this is something I would seriously consider keeping. All right, moving on to some things that I don't like about the GX4. So first of all, the finish on the slide, it's not the best. Now, I know they've put some effort into updating and upgrading the finish on their slides, but you know, it's not very black, it's not very slick, which is probably by design, but you can see here, right here, and in other areas, there's wear on the slide, and I really haven't knocked it around that much, like right in this area. So the finish is not the greatest. Second off, some people might not like the fact that you need a flathead screwdriver to take down the pistol. For me, I think it's fine. It's very easy. You just rack the slide, make sure the trigger's cocked, take out the magazine, and then you turn it a quarter and you just pull the slide. It comes right off. There's no kind of fumbling around and struggling, but some people might not like the fact that you need a tool to take it down to clean it. Lastly, of course, it's not mailed out for an optic, but I understand that it's part of the $350 price tag. So I feel that if Taurus can mill this slide out, keep it under $400, I think they're going to have a winner. But as it sits right now, I would seriously consider keeping the GX4 around. So that leaves me with deciding between the Springfield Armory Hellcat and the Taurus GX4. And this doesn't come down to having a red dot or not having a red dot. I tend to still not trust micro red dots or red dots in general because you never know when they're going to fail. They might break on you, the battery might die, and in self-defense situation, you just want to be ready at all times. And the iron sights are always going to be there. So it's not about having the ability to have a red dot or not. Basically, the way my mind is thinking, and after going through the CCW class, I find both of these extremely reliable. I haven't had any hiccups on the GX4, as we're going to see in the testing. It comes down to, do I want to throw away $600 or $350? You can almost get two of these for the price of one of these. Because if you do have to defend yourself, you're not ever going to see whatever you're using it. It's gone. You're never going to see it again. And it's that, for me, is the huge deciding factor is, I don't want to throw away $600. I would rather have two of these for the price of one of these. And for that reason, I'm sticking with the Taurus GX4. Well, all right, guys. So I think the Taurus GX4 is an excellent candidate for me. Pricing is right. The quality is great. Reliability is great. But I know a bunch of you are not going to agree with what pistol I chose. So leave your comments in the description below. I'm interested to see what everybody thinks. But thank you for watching. I'll catch you in the next video.